everybody sing. As we move in this people's revolution.
Thank you very much, my dear chairlady of the Women's Arm and Sister Kenya Charles, for that introduction. To our esteemed political leader, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, parliamentary colleagues and NATEX colleagues, UNC friends and family, those joining us on the various social media platforms, and some of you here, good evening, and thank you for joining us. I want to begin by commending our political leader and our UNC for the great job in our recent activities held by our party. I am personally still tired from our Fun and Family Day at Fun Splash. This evening, my dear friends, I'm going to deal with some very important issues affecting our citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. My dear citizens and friends, we are 12 days away. 12 days from now will be the commencement of the new school term for our nation's children. And what has the government said to you, the mothers and fathers who have lost your job and are still struggling from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic? Many parents still have not bought books. They are struggling to even feed their children during this vacation period. And it begs the question, who is caring for them right now? What has the government put in place for families like these? I can tell you, as an MP, this year I got the most requests for assistance regarding back to school over any other year that I have served before. And when I look at their situation, I tell you, since last week into this week, I'm looking at book lists after book lists. And when I look at their situation, I can tell you, I am not helping them because of votes, you know. The issue really is people just can't afford in this country. And it is very serious, and it's only getting worse. And I ask, where is Donna Cox? Where is her initiatives? Where is the PNM? And where are their initiatives as it relates to our vulnerable children in this country? What has the government proposed to help struggling families who are trying to get their children back to school? And I want to touch on a few things. Do you remember when the opposition leader proposed the one-time uniform grants for students just a few months ago? Do you remember, my friends, when she said, and I quote, "Give the children a one-time grant in time for school opening so a parent does not have to decide if to put a plate of food on the table or if to buy a uniform." What did the PNM do? Absolutely nothing. They have no ideas, and they are not willing to even accept a great idea to help our nation's vulnerable children. Such a shame. And they preach youth, and they preach youth are our future. Where is Prime Minister Keith Rowley? Where is Prime Minister Keith Rowley? On assuming office as Prime Minister, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa had her ministers busy working. Do you remember when she created the Ministry of the People to specifically treat with the poor and vulnerable in this society? Do you remember that? She ensured that her minister had the following ready and available to those in need. And I remind you, the school supplies grant dispersed a sum of $500 per child to a maximum of 4 children, which could have been accessed by parents whose school books and other schools, whose children's school books and other school supplies were destroyed by, let's say, fire, flood, or other natural disasters. And that was increased to $1,000 when the child is in secondary school, and to $750 when if the child was in primary school. Today, where is Donna Cox Donna Cox recently said grants are available to those who were flooded. I can tell you, numerous requests based on natural disasters, flooding and other things, went to that Ministry of Social Development, and all you get, they are recommended. All over, grants being given. But when it comes to UNC constituencies, you might get a 1 or 2 sticking somewhere. And what they would say to you, recommended, no funding. But yet you see them on camera posing in various PNM constituencies, giving out grants. So we ask, these school supply grants, where are they? But those were initiatives under Kamla Prasad-Bissessar. Under Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, her minister ensured that we had the education grant, which increased from $300 to $500 per child per month. And when we speak about feeding families and nutrition, we had the introduction of the Rise Up component of the food card, which provided development support and so on in terms of housing, education, safety, finances within the household. And we had results out of that. The Rise Up Secretariat partnered with other private and public as well as non-governmental organizations to secure employment and skills for clients. And you know what they are doing now? They closed the Rise Up, and now they're trying to steal our program and call it Step Up, because they have not done anything for the vulnerable and those who are relying on the social support system during their tenure. And as it relates to that Rise Up program, training occurred for more than 800 clients. As it relates to the food card, many Rise Up participants were able to become self-reliant citizens and return their food cards because they were able to then sustain themselves. When we speak about rural communities and those rural communities accessing services, Prime Minister Kamla Prasad-Bissessar ensured that her minister had the direct effect program. Do you remember when social services used to come into your community and they had support services at hand to give to those people within the rural communities and make the necessary social interventions? We can never forget these direct impact initiatives. Through this direct impact initiative, under Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, the construction of 52 starter homes in several parts of Trinidad and Tobago happened. And in addition to that, unemployed youth were able to access employment through construction activities. So I ask you this evening, have you or people you know who are vulnerable benefited from any of these programs since Keith Rowley became Prime Minister? When Keith Rowley assumed the office of the Prime Minister, the first thing he did was remove the Ministry of the People and Social Development. Do you remember that? Can you recall the removal of the baby grant by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley? That man literally took food away from the mouths of babies in this country. Heartless. Brothers and sisters, we are at a point where serious intervention is needed and support services such as these are most needed. They would shout everywhere, the children and youth are our future. What are they doing to secure the future of our children? Many of our children are faced with situations where they are unsure about tomorrow. The reason why I mentioned those items which Mrs. Bissessar had in place, it's because these programs were designed to provide that needed support within households and by extension dealt with the root cause of problems, allowing our children a better future in this country. Do you think Mrs. Bissessar gave laptops as gifts to our children? No, she gave laptops to prepare our children for a better and more progressive future, and I congratulate her for that. I was so happy when I saw laptops being given to children, because through primary school and secondary school and a few months into my first degree, I had to run and ask the neighbor on the next street to use her computer. And I thank them for that. Auntie Dolly and her daughter Sherry, I remember running to their home to utilize their computer. And when I saw laptops being given to children, I felt an ease for our nation's children. I said, that lady, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, is a great human being. So I have been looking at how the PNM treat our young children. Recently, I reached out to even the Prime Minister to assist the Trinidad and Tobago girls under 17 team who participated in the Central Basket Qualifiers March in Nicaragua. He never even responded. 6 of those girls come from the community of enterprise, 4 from my constituency and 4 from Caroni East. The Prime Minister never responded to date. Shamfa, of course, being Shamfa, had to express views which I believe were very rude to these girls in particular. And for that, I want to let the Prime Minister and his lousy minister know that when you treat our young sportsmen and women like that, it is definitely not motivating and affects their mental health. I say no more. Read between the lines. But today I am proud to say that as a UNC MP, I was able to assist these girls with $12,000 in one day with the help of my business community and together with so many others who assisted through GoFundMe program, GoFundMe to have them participate in this tournament. I am also proud to inform that Amaria Klein and Carissa Ramdial dominated the overall statistics of the competition, both from enterprise, with Carissa Ramdial winning an award for one of the best point guards. So send your love to them, give them motivation because they come from the community of enterprise, which those adults and coaching team and parents are working very hard with those children. As I conclude, I want to touch a bit on the remedial classes. Just recently, we saw the publication from the Ministry of Education where we saw 9,000 people to benefit from remedial classes at a cost of $10 million from July 8th to August 12th. A little over 2,700 pupils signed up for this remedial classes. Today we ask why thousands of other students did not sign up for these remedial classes. My colleague Anita Haynes dealt with this before in asking about the real targeted strategies and what are their monitoring and evaluation strategies in terms of this particular program and how are they reaching the students who need the assistance. We ask if just over 2,700 persons registered, where are these 5,000 plus children? What is happening to them? The government must answer this, and we must protect our nation's students. Nian Gaspidoli, Ayana Webster Roy, and Donna Cox, you all must all come together now and let us pull back these children and ensure they have a future. The Prime Minister must act on this. Our children have had to deal with real unfortunate situations over the last 2.5 years. They were deprived of many things. And I say to you, if you fail our children, you are failing our nation. And you are failing yourself even further because you have already failed. And with that in mind, my fellow friends, I say that may God continue to bless our nation's children. May God continue to bless our political party and our leader. And I thank you very much.
Dictatorship.